What do we mean when we say shadows should remain thin and quiet? This was a question from one of my students, and I'm going to devote this video to 5 important tips that are going to help you master shadows once and for all. Shadows are so important, and you'll get a much better idea of how to handle shadows, ways to paint them, and I'm going to do some comparisons so you can see the before and after. And then at the end, we're going to go through a gallery of some master painters to see how they use these techniques in their paintings. Stick around and learn everything you need to know about Impressionist shadows. So topic number 1, we're going to compare thick versus thin. I'm going to just do a quick speed through on setting up this demonstration for you, and then I'm going to paint in the shadows once the little cottage is painted in, and just set up the lights as well, and we're going to see what the shadows look like. I'm going to paint these nice and thick and quite dramatically, let's put it that way, and then do a comparison where we let the shadows just quieten down a little and see how that will improve the general look of the scene. So we've set things up, just getting a few of the last details in, and then I'm going to put in the shadows and I'm going to make them quite dramatic, as I said. So there's some shadow on the roof using a little bit of ultramarine and cerulean blue, and just getting it on very thick, very strong. And you'll be able to then judge for yourself, are the shadows too much? What's going on? Is it really helping the scene and making the light stand out? So this is paint put on quite thick and opaque. Now, it doesn't have to be absolutely transparent, but this is really getting into the impasto in those shadows. Strong blue, and it makes me debate the whole thing about expressive shadows as well. Just how far should you go, and is it complementing the scene? So there we got a really powerful series of shadows. Is it too much? Is it too loud? Well, I'll put a few little sky holes in just to break that up as well, and then we'll assess and decide, well, do we need to do something with that? Or are we going to leave it like that? And what I want is for you to just consider the problem for yourself and give your gut feel to it. So this brings me on to version 2, where I'm going to make the shadows thinner, more luminous, more colorful, and then you can do a comparison and decide for yourself. I'll let you know which one I prefer as well. But this also brings me on to point number 2, edges and color contrast. I'm going to soften the edges and make the color contrast not so loud and dramatic, because what I feel is if the shadows are very thick, very bold, very contrasty, quite overbearing, they tend to actually flatten out the shadows, and they don't become quite as colorful and luminous. Luminous just means that sense of glowing color. So you can see the shadows are put on the side of the building on the right, softer, and they may look gray, but in fact they're quite colorful. It's not a muddy gray. The shadows in the road, lighter, but more alizarin coming into them, slightly more violet. Now the shadows in the photograph look quite dark, but as we know, shadows are overcompensated for in photographs. Do we want them so dark that you can't see anything into them, or do we want them to complement and make the lights look better? So already I'm feeling a lot more relaxed and composed with the second painting. I think the colors all working together, the softer edges, making the shadows look less contrasty and more supportive of the lights in the painting. But that's just my opinion. You can decide for yourself which one is working for you. Do you think the second version looks more atmospheric, more airy, more light, or does the first version look more energetic? It all comes down to your vision as well. There is no absolute right or wrong answer to this. Here I'm putting the shadows in the thatched roof area as well, making them less contrasty, less impasto looking, so they're not so demanding of attention. And hopefully you are looking more at the lights and thinking bright sunny day. So shadows are a supportive function in the painting rather than a dominating element. A few little extra details just to suggest the curbing there, and then we'll have a look at the completed painting. So hopefully the shadows here have more subtle transitions, more color harmony with the painting in general, the warm lights, the cooler violet shadows. A couple of extra little touches, of course. So there we've just completed the little sketch. Now number 3, brushwork simplicity. Now in this third painting I've used quite vigorous and expressive brushwork in the lights, which is fine, but do I need to do that same thing in the shadows? So here I'm over-emphasizing the shadows with a lot of broken color and expressive brushwork. The shadows are now demanding a lot of attention. It's not making the eye settle. So let's use simpler brushwork and see what happens. Let's just scrape that all off. And already it's improved in my opinion, but let's see if I can make the shadows look like a cooler version of the yellow grass, so a greenish color. Soften that up a little and make it thinner. Get the edges less contrasty. I'm just cutting now with some of the lights to develop a bit more of a dappled light and improve the shape of the shadow. And then I'll compare the two versions side by side, and you can see for yourself if the softer, more controlled brushwork in the shadows has improved the overall look of the scene. As that's before and that's after, and I think a little better. So number 4 is glazing shadows, a technique I don't use too often, but I have toned the surface with yellow ochre, so now I'm going over it with a combination of cerulean and ochre and using some glazing medium to keep it nice and thin, so the yellow ochre of the undertone is actually coming through and influencing the color of that shadow. So I'm taking the local color, the yellow ochre, and just going over it with more of a transparent glazing layer. And you can do this over dry paint as well, dry oils or acrylics, to glaze your shadows in and let some color come through. So number 5, the whole important point here is shadows enhance the lights. So as I add in some of the final touches to the sketch and bring in the lights, hopefully the combination of the shadows with the lights creates a eye-catching painting where the shadows are not dominating but help the light to dominate. Now I can develop these shadows a little further here and just soften those edges up a bit and get a more completed look to it. But it's to emphasize the idea of glazing is an option to get your shadows more luminous as well. So let's have a look at a few master artists. We've got Claude Monet, who has used soft, colorful color to support the glowing sunlight. Camille Pissarro, subtle, broken brushwork in the shadow areas. This beautiful painting by Sorolla, showing delicate and restrained shadows, almost transparent. Pierre-Auguste Renoir, a good example of dappled light that is not dominating the painting. And then Isaac Levitan, who has used soft, thin shadows in the snow, which don't overpower the light. I hope this video was helpful to you and it's given you some tips on how to handle shadows in your next painting. Now, if you want more tips like this, be sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the notifications as well, because there are more videos coming and you don't want to miss those. And if you're also interested in taking your painting further, check out my painting school. There are plenty of courses there on all sorts of topics for oils, acrylics, gouache, and even journaling. There's a link up here and in the description to a free course that will get you started. So check that out if you want to improve your painting a lot quicker. Well, with that, enjoy painting your shadows, and I hope to see you soon in the next video as well. Until next time, happy painting and cheers for now.